Alright, is my mic working? Alright, yeah, everything should be good. Here we flatted 10s% under the gun open. Had a good time recording yesterday, so might even upload twice today. I think here you can actually incorporate like a little bit of a leading size because he has so many hands that are just a tough time continuing versus it. But I don't think we're going to play it here. I think it was a multi-way pot, so it's weird to study, but you just have a lot of good hands in the 5. You have a lot of made hands when you call, and he has a lot of hands that are not made. So I think leading 20% puts his hands in a tougher spot. Because he can check back and realize a lot of equity with his overcards. Going to call again here versus this Sharpie guy. I think having it over to the 5 here, I think you can start folding the pocket versus under. But as long as you have an out to a boat, I think you continue. And here, I think you're betting 1/3 at a decent frequency. If you have a check, I think this hand gets in here. We rolled a higher number, but I will check it. No equity. And now here, I think our hand just wants to check again. I think having 1 under the 7 is pretty bad. Alright, so he picked up a draw. I mean, he picked up a hand so he didn't bluff. I was probably going to call the river. My hand was really under-repped. He could have easily been going thin for value with a hand like pocket 9s. I think we might have even had a raise on the turn. But I don't know. As played, I think it's fine. Here, when he polarizes, I think we have nothing else to do but fold. I think 7-5 is also up here open from the button. Worm is pretty aggressive, but I think we block his bluffing range with the 5. I think having the 5 of clubs there is just a really bad card to have. This John Greenman guy just sat out. That's annoying. Here, I think... Wait, I'm trying to think. Is this a heads up or just a normal hand? Given that he has the button, I think it's a normal hand. So I think we'll 3-bet this. Normally you would never 3-bet, but heads up you can 3-bet. And on a 90, I think we check this board to get him out, but I think we can size up. Probably a half pot. I don't know if this hand's ever going bigger. It might be going bigger. Fold up the overs and the back doors. I'm gonna size up actually. I don't really care for heads up, so I'm going to have to sit out. I do believe Queen 8's a pure open here. Now let's talk about... Oh, did my Gerogen trial expire? I have to rebuy it? Or what? It's funny. Here I think we're just going to try and get this hand in versus this guy. And playing really small bet here versus this guy a lot. I'm just not a heads up player. I think I honestly probably have an edge. But just not interested in studying it. So I don't want to play it. I don't like my sessions coming down to it. I think I said that in another video, but yeah. I think I've just ran really bad in heads up in the last 2 months. So I'm kind of just done with playing it. Now that this other table closed, I thought I'd get up to 2. I have to buy the thing, but we'll just write it out for this video. I'm trying to think about that King 5 hand. Can't look at it now though. Yeah, we are currently waiting for 2 more 500 NLs, and we have there's another 500 NL table running here. The pool just looked draggy, so I felt like recording. Okay, on a 60 here, this hand opens pure. The RNG doesn't matter. That's one thing about the Gerogen. It's like sometimes I just don't care to roll. Here normally you're supposed to I would check range on a board like this, but with this fish behind, I don't mind reopening. He's flatting probably way too many hands, so the equity advantage is not where it should be. My hand's just a very good get in on most turns. I think I'm just going to shove all in here. I think I could price him in with a 5 and just stack off on most turns anyway. I think we'll go to this size actually. My hand, if there was a shove, I mean that's the best river possible. Watching my base deuce, but okay, now that was ambitious. Good thing we didn't shove the turn. I think we might have priced them out, but good thing we bet 3 streets here. The wrong read though, so he actually did have equity, but we charged him for it. Table's only getting more reggy, which I don't mind. I don't think any of the regs. With the exception to this player, I think this player is actually pretty solid. I don't think he is perfect by any means, though. There's a couple things that I'm not going to talk about, but I don't think is perfect. He simplifies a lot. But he is, like, all around probably the best player in the pool right now. He might even have an edge on me. Hard to know. When someone plays close to as good as I can, it's hard for me to, and I don't see them directly making huge mistakes, then I can't assume I'm better. I'm here. I think we bet 1/3 a good amount, but after we check, I think we just resort to checking again with this type of hand. Just playing very passively in the small blind. Now here, if he bets, I think I'm going to continue. And on the 6 river, as played, we do actually rep a lot of 6x. I think big bet makes the most sense here. I think overbet also does make the most sense, actually. I'm trying to think of the hands we want to bet. I think a jack's good enough to overbet. I think a 10. I think it's just block and overbet. So I think we'll go for the overbet in this node. Yeah, I think this is a good size. It's a drier board. Gonna be blocking. Probably block some ace high for value. Like ace king could probably value bet as a block. So I do think that he has to pure call. I don't think he has enough made hands at this point by the river. I could be completely wrong. Blind versus blind is very complex. And one spot might look like another, but it's not. So I was reviewing a spot like that recently. I'm here. You could do both. I think I'm gonna lean to more towards flat. But I could be wrong. I mean, these guys, I don't know about Sharpie. I know Yuki, I think, would be able to find enough squeezes here, because this spot is super profitable to squeeze, as these two players are like really capped post-flip. He finds it. I think I am going to continue the 9s. It might be a mistake here. I don't know. This might just be a mistake, but I think I'm going to call. I think 9s is like a very strong hand here. I think a lot of his raise squeeze bluffs do contain an ace. I think we would continue 9s with a diamond, but I think 9s without of it just has to fold. Especially when he sizes up to 1/3 here. I'm just gonna have to fold. I don't know. I don't like the way I played. I kind of wish I 3-bet. I'm almost positive. I look at notes like that. I know in the small blind, if I had called, I'm supposed to fold them basically my entire range. And play some traps with queens and just shove. Not traps, but yeah. I don't know. The Erlins call me weirder, I'd say. The Sharpie guy might find the bluffs needed. I think earlier, I will say, him barreling 7-6, I think is a mistake. Because he had the extra equity, but you're polarizing yourself to just a pair, so the extra draw doesn't make any sense. I don't think. And you're just running into hands like pocket 10s, which you're actually drawing dead against. He was literally drawing dead in that hand on the turn. So generally barreling 0 equity more often than not isn't too correct. Unless you're in a spot where you have either a certain amount of value, and even then it's not too good, because you still need more value than bluffs. And basically half his range there can be bluffed, so with equity. So you should just go with those hands and play some checks. 10-6 arts, you're never calling. Already a couple spots I'm kind of indifferent now. Mainly the single raise spots. Here I'm just kind of. I think I'm supposed to just be disciplined and muck my hand. I think I was just. Maybe this was a tilt play. Like I don't tilt in the way where I get mad or I get angry. I think I'm more so just. I don't know how to explain it. It's not like tilt in an angry way, but I think it's just I had the option to 3-bet and I chose flat and he squeezed and my hand is so strong, letting go of it in that type of spot is just frustrating. Not like in an angry way, but I think in just a logical way. I don't know how to describe it. But yeah, I think that I just have to sigh and let it go. Even though he could be overdoing it. He could have actually woke up with a hand. It's one of those spots where people squeeze, you just put them on like the most terrible range, and they always just table kings. You know, it's just the reality of the situation. It did feel like that was one of the stronger hands I could have in that spot, but I don't think that really matters. I think it's up to the other two guys to defend more than me. Defend against the squeeze, rather. Like their range. And when it gets to me, I just probably have to muck. Almost positive that's the case. Okay. I'm okay with running 2 tables right now. I think I'm enjoying the slower play. Today, I might actually upload 2 videos. I don't know. I don't really know what's up GTO for being like popular on YouTube. Don't really care, to be honest. I just know I'm trying to study as much as I can this week, and I'm kind of only in the mood to study my VODs, so. And I have a lot of studying to do today. I haven't studied once so far. So, probably going to, dude, I talk like an actual idiot, but I'm probably gonna upload 2 because I'm gonna review 2 VODs today, so I'll upload 2. How long has this been running for? 11 minutes. I do think the pace of 2 reg tables might be too slow for a video, but you know what? Whatever. I mean, maybe I'm not the best content creator in the world. I think I should comment on the other people's hands too. I think I can also look at this. Here on an 83, wow, I actually don't know. I'm just gonna lean flat because I know this hand is probably really low frequency. So on an 83, we're just gonna call it. And I probably just wouldn't play 3 bets, but I'm gonna look at it right after this. I'll type in the comments or description like I did the last hand, if it does ever play 3 bet from the big. 2.5, 2.5. He opens 2.5x under the gun, which I don't know how much I like, to be honest. For me, like, I just like to have a wider range under the gun. Like, you basically can't open the smaller pairs if you do that. I mean, you obviously do to keep frequency, but your suited king x, stuff like this becomes a lot worse. Basically can't open any of the offsuit broadways. What did he have? 9-8 suited. That would open into frequency, but it shouldn't open pure, especially if you're playing 2.5. Obviously, it's a recreational table, and you can just be doing any exploit. But if he was playing in a game where, let's say, I was the other 5 players, I'm sure these types of decisions he's making actually do make a difference. Ace-9 just gonna defend pure. I think you never 3-bet bluff this hand from the spot. The offsuit, I think sometimes Ace-5 and Ace-4, but I don't think first under the gun. Now here we turn a double gutter with the 9s. Not to mention, I think his check back is probably weaker. So I'm just gonna stab here. Probably turn my hand into a bluff on some heart runouts. We have a lot more flushes than he does. Obviously, a chunk of his folding range is the ace high here, so I mean ace necessarily might not be the best thing, but it's not also the worst because it's an over to the queen. So if he was checking back a queen, we obviously have the draw. Also not bad to fold out the other ace high if he does have it. So that's why like blockers sometimes it can get very complex, right? Because it's like, okay, let's say he has a hand like ace king. Okay, ace king and ace jack he's continuing. So in this case it doesn't make sense, but in theory, let's say like, or not in theory, let's say another example like this was like a 9. He'd be folding ace king at a frequency, and that's good for our hand. But at the same time, we're blocking him from having a hand he folds. So if we had a hand like, I don't know, 9-5 suited, then he'd be more likely to fold. I don't know, it's hard to explain. Anyway, but another example, I think having an ace is actually not that bad, because a lot of his checkbacks do continue. Here, we're just going to 4-bet. On a 3, maybe low frequency call, but this guy's pretty aggressive. I like 25 here versus 11. So we're going to opt into that. We were deeper, so I think 26 is okay. Gonna check back again here. On a 3, actually, when we roll a 3, I just never play calls from these positions. Some other positions you can consider it, I think. And here, I think it's good to raise. I mean, we only lose to ace 8, queen 10. I think we can raise and get him off something. Actually, maybe it's just pointless. Maybe he's always calling an ace, always folding a king. I don't know, it's a recreational. Okay. Maybe he folds an ace there, for example. But I do have the danger of reopening and getting like shoved down by a spew and having to fold or getting shoved, you know. Maybe he's just not calling enough there in practice. Here, I think with the no backdoors, the clubs should be checking the most here. For sure. Obviously blocking ace-7 and 5-7 suited is kind of relevant. But in the overall way it affects the range, it's just, you want some equity here. You don't care that much about blockers. Like, I mean, he has so many other 7x in the big. And I think we have to continue versus a block with the ace high. I think maybe the unders to the 5 becomes a little indifferent. Unders to the 9 especially. And versus the second block, I wouldn't be surprised if we're... I mean, we could raise this hand sometimes here. I'm trying to think. I think in practice this could work out well. But maybe he just flicks in a 9 every time here. Alright. On a 16, I'm going to let it go. But on a softer table, with a slightly tighter these positions, Worm is aggressive enough, but I think this just becomes pure. It's already like a 70-ish% open, so making it pure is just fine. I think there's enough EV gained from opening it. I think it just becomes a pure open. Because it's 0 V at 70%, right? But he finds the raise. And I think on a 60, our hand is folding versus the big. I also just think naturally he's tighter out of the big. Just people are just tighter out of the big in general. You get to close action. Then again, he is squeezing, but I think calling 12 bigs with 5s is just not too good. Here, I think we can do both. And I think versus this player, I don't mind raising here a lot. I think we can call more often than not without a suited version. Without a backdoor flush draw. But I don't mind raising that aggressively. Here, I think this hand 3-bet's almost pure. Call, and I'm going to call here. In the 5 pairs, I'm sure we could sometimes lead this hand. But I think we want to be more polar. I don't think leading small makes any sense. Now, I think it's you lead to rep trips, a boat, a flush, or you bluff. I think a 9 still is a good candidate to check. I don't think leading as a block is too good on this card. Now here, it just seems like he has an overpair, and he's worried about the other hands. My hand could actually potentially be a jam all-in bluff. But we don't have any time banks, so I'm just going to fold. I think not having a club is not too good. I think Jack 9 with the Jack of clubs there probably becomes a shove. You block some straights, but maybe straights actually start to fold. I don't think so. I think a 5 is probably good enough to shove for value at his depth. Because I do think he's reopening a lot of over pairs. And yeah, obviously we have also flushes. So yeah. I wouldn't be surprised actually if maybe the ranges are tighter than I think and 10x of clubs becomes the main bluff. But it's probably too good. 10x of clubs probably just a call. Depends on really what you put your opponent on. If you put him on just like actually over pairs only and because you have like a huge read, then the range would change drastically on what you want to bluff. You have the same hand on 2 tables. I think I'm going to just be pure folding both. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking like maybe I'm supposed to shove Jack 9 here. I wish I had more time bank. When someone leaves this table, I'll reopen another. Kind of regretting not shoving. I just feel like in practice it would work so well. And his bet just seems so scared. Like, as an exploitative read, I would have been shoving, what, 40 bigs in the river? I don't know. I just think it's hard to call. But he is a fish, and maybe he just flicks it in too much. Given how tight my range is supposed to be. If he's just calling all of his aces, like, if you got it, you got it. To be fair, maybe he is just supposed to pure call aces. I don't know. It really comes down to how wide he's reopening. And I like to think pretty wide. He also has bluffs here. Like, I was considering calling. So that just makes me feel like I should shove. Just because when you shove, you also beat all the bluffs. You just snap, instantly beat all your opponent's bluffs. So he is actually supposed to call majority of his value. Because of just how poker works. You have to hit, like, MDF on a re-raise, right? We're close to it. I mean, sometimes ranges make it a little different. If your range is just super dominating another guy's range, MDF doesn't necessarily apply. Like, let's just say, for example, for some reason your range won 100% of the time, you would never have to hit MDF, right? So if the opponent's range is winning 90% and he's shoving range, well, you're probably not going to call if MDF says 40% or something. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. That's why range advantages are a thing. But nonetheless, it's still important to understand the concept, because more often than not, ranges do actually. Your opponent's picking a sizing and polarizing and stuff like this. He's not just shoving his entire range in a certain spot because he has a range advantage. Anyway, I'm going to 3-bet this, probably to 11.5. And on this texture, I don't think we can be too crazy. Though I do think having a 6 is okay. And we rolled a 91, so I think betting half pot and big bet is good. I'm going to bet this hand for half pot. Blocking king jack of diamonds, and having the 6 is okay because we can turn extra equity. When we get clicked like this, we just have to fold. Oh, wow. What a little sunrunner this guy is, eh? That one I'm curious to look up. I think I could have big bet, but big betting with such poor equity, I feel like I don't want to build the big bet range with a hand without any equity. Could be wrong though. And here on a 68, I think I'm going to be checking back more often than not. I think it's big bet or check here for me. And I think ace queen off just checks the majority of the time. Expect him to block a lot. He really likes these block bets. And I think my hand just has to call to a block here. I mean, yeah. I kind of have an X foot on him. I feel like he doesn't block as bluffs too much, but my hand is just too solid. And obviously on this river, he should probably just play 200% or check or something. He's basically betting 2 pair plus. And I think when we reopen, we're just going to reopen the size. Could maybe overbet, but I think we reopen here. Now here, I really just don't expect my opponent to raise me as a bluff. Like, obviously I have some respect for this guy, but it's just so hard to find bluffs here. You can pick pocket fives, maybe. You're very polar. I'm basically pretty capped. Yeah. He hit the 2 pair or the straight or something, and we're just gonna have to muck here. I think in practice, like, we're just gonna have to roll. If you roll a really high number, you call sometimes. Which is why I was debating checking back this card. I just don't think he calls it too much worse. So yeah, I think in general, it's hard to find a call here, but we're gonna call. I don't know about a sizing. I think maybe all-in's just better, to be honest. King jack here on a 10, we're just gonna call. Never raising on a 10. Gonna have to fold here a lot if he bets. And just canvas under the gun range is just doing too poorly on a board like this. And now the question is to reopen or not. I think with the jack of diamonds, it's okay. The thing is, a lot of his ace-x just discontinue, so I think we need to be pretty careful on this board. I think we can go opt for a check again. Maybe we get king-queen to fold with a bigger bet. I think I'm actually going to go for it. I think I block actually some of the good aces that I'll call. Ace-jack of diamonds. Ace-king, obviously. And maybe he starts folding his ace-x suited, like under the 9. I think he's supposed to, it's that size. So yeah, I don't know. Trying to think. I think ace queen's okay with reopening and folding, but you do need to look him up every now and then. It's a spot where like you're just not calling pure with anything. If I rolled a really high number, I might have flicked it in. I'm not gonna assume what his play is. I don't have any hands on the guy, which makes me feel like he doesn't have any hands on me. And I feel like it's hard for him to do that profitably if he thinks I'm a recreational. That's my read. Obviously, if we're in another pool, but in Ontario, you're just used to really exploiting players. I'm trying to think what blockers are better here. So I don't know, I can't even think. My brain starts there. On a 44, I think we just let this one go. How long have I been recording for? 26 minutes. Curious to look at that one later. It does just seem like he's betting 1/3 probably with all of his range because he thinks I'm capped on the turn, on the flop. Like this is just like what makes sense to me. Bets one flop with all of his nutted hands, 1/3. I call, I hit an ace. My range is so ace-x heavy, he checks range. And when I reopen, he just goes really big because he knows I'm capped, and yeah. On a 96, I think this hand starts to open. Now here, I think we check a lot. I think we check a lot with our king X. That yeah, I don't think we bluff any king highs. Now here, I think we just, on a 95, I think we could start to get in here, but I really don't think we fold out too much wares. We can have diamonds here. With the king of diamonds, but I think we just check again. Nice one. No block but bluff on the river, which with a candidate that's actually okay at doing it. Important to note. Anyway, here on Jack 10-9, on a 97, I could see this hand betting. And to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if this hand checks pure though, because you polarize yourself to a queen, and on an 8, queen just gets there. Now I think we have a really good candidate to start kind of going crazy. I'm not gonna turn a king into a bluff. I'm not gonna turn an 8 into a bluff. Need a club. I don't know. Could be wrong here. But when this hand cbets flop, because not many, yeah. And I think we just go here on this river. Could be just mini overbet. Serenity is pretty stationy. Trying to think. Flush is probably still okay with overbetting. But I think ace king and all the majority of our hands want to bet this size. I don't know how many folds he has in this line. I don't think he's ever folding a king though, that's the problem. And I think you need to go overbet to make a king indifferent. I could be wrong. It's one of those spots where like I'm betting, but like there's so many nutted hands here that just a king becomes actually like pretty whatever. And obviously your betting range should build around what makes a king X indifferent, because it's majority of his calling range. Majority of his other hands are either getting stacks in or nutted, or you know what I mean. I don't think overbet you make any flushes indifferent. You have to start playing shoves to do that. Maybe I'm wrong. No, I don't know what sizing you'd have to pick to make a flush indifferent. It would probably have to be ridiculous, and I don't think it'd be worth it. I think playing some boats, some shoves with boats makes sense here. Because I think like a hand like, I think any flush might not raise the river. So you might have to start shoving. And obviously you have your traps. Like queen jack's probably just a pure trap. Maybe not, because you actually don't block the calling range pure. Here on this turn, on a 22, can do both. I guess on a 22 we check. This turn I'm sizing up to just 150 or check. And on the river here, it's kind of easy to find bluffs, I think. I think he has a lot of gutters. And shit like that. I don't think he just has king X. So I'm gonna call. Alright. Especially when he's doing shit like this. I think, I don't know. I think an ace high might be, I guess an ace is a good amount of my calling range. I obviously have the folds, like all the ace X and under, and I have a lot of the offsuit ace X, so I don't know. An ace might be a lot of my folding range actually. I don't know how I feel about that. In first glance, it feels like he's overdoing it. I think also in 8x, it's a lot of my give ups. Like for example, I don't have any extra equity with a lot of 8x. Like queen 8 suited is just dead. Jack 8 suited is just dead. Jack 8 off, queen 8 off. I don't have queen 8 off, but Jack 8 off at a frequency. 8-7 obviously is a gutter. 8-9 obviously. 8-6 is also probably my folding range on the river. I don't know. That checks turn. I think just the lower gutter straight hands are better to go with there. Never folding a queen. I think it's just he doesn't have enough kings for me to be pure folding queens. And in practice, that spot's really easy to overbluff because people just float king 6-4 pretty wide. And we're also pretty capped when we check back the turn. So he is supposed to attack us pretty wide, to be honest. So maybe I don't blame him. Maybe people do overfold there, but I don't really blame him. He probably makes money doing that play versus population. Alright. 13 minutes for this, and then I'm gonna end recording and start another and upload both today. I'll probably stop playing, come back, study the VOD, and then play. It's been a pretty tame session. Nothing too crazy. Was debating if the Jack 9 off was a good all-in earlier. I just didn't have the time bank. And here, 5-7 I think's a fold. I'll play my big, so I don't scam him. I think he's gonna sit out. Oh, he actually found to play me. 6-4. I feel like that's not good enough. Play like one more hand. One more orbit. I'm actually just getting mucks. Like, what is going on? You play like 80% of your hands and I'm getting pure folds. Alright, last hand. We have an open. He has a fold. On an 8, we're gonna muck 4s here. God, these stars tables is like a joke. Like, these people just never play. Like, are we just allergic to playing poker or what? I just doxed my name. Not that I care. Ugh. Sorry, I always sometimes just like fucking moan in my mic. I don't know why I can't help it. I just randomly just have to breathe, so I go like, I'm not gonna do it again, but yeah. A6, I think you can sometimes flat. First 2.5, you're probably folding. Probably just playing 2 or folds. Also in the GG structure, you get a little less of a big blind, which does add up a good amount. Slightly worse odds. So if a call's making like a tenth of a big blind, paying an extra tenth of a big blind might make it a pure fold. Or, sorry, if it's indifferent, paying an extra tenth of a big blind might make it fold more often. At a higher frequency. Obviously, if it's making money, it'll probably still make money. But nothing has happened. Maybe I'll just end the recording now. Probably not, because if you stayed this far, I probably shouldn't just end it. I haven't been talking for the past 2 minutes. I've just had pure folds. 9-8 is going to just pure fold. Honestly, maybe I don't upload this video. I don't think anything's happened. I'll review and see how many interesting hands there are. I'll probably upload it. How much am I up or down on stars on the session? Stars, I lost 15 bucks. Absurd. I just can't believe all the tables just broke so fast. There was 4 when I got on. Just crazy, man. Like, these people just do not want to play poker. Versus anyone but fish. It's kind of sad. Look forward to go international at some point. When I have a bigger role, I want to travel and play on the international pool. I think that'd be a fun couple years of my life. Or at least a year. The Ontario games are very good. Like, very, very good, but the problem is there's just not that much action right now. I need to play 5-10 as well, but I'm very nitty with my bankroll. Because then I could have 5-10 and 2-5 running. I also will normally open a 200 table, but for the sake of recording, I just like putting 500 in the title. Nothing to see. Maybe I can talk about my opponent's hands. I think that's what we'll do. So what? He leads this board as the caller. I think this is okay. I think it's fine. Yeah, I think you can play leads here for sure. And his sizing I think is good. I'm gonna start talking about another guy's hand. And he just snap folds. I don't think you can lead range, so obviously you need to have lead folds to make your opponent indifferent to raising. If you never lead folds, you would never need to raise when he's with marginal hands. Because he should basically only raise for value / protection, I guess. But not even protection because you never have folds. Alright, 4 is gonna continue. Gonna call pure. I don't think we ever 3-bet this hand. And ace-8 on a 60. Versus 2.5, I think, is a fold. I think versus 2x, it might call. Now here versus the big bet, I think without a heart, we just fold our hand. I think with the heart, we can continue. Oh, it's so sad. Just folded the nuts. It is what it is. If only we had the other 2 combos of 4s. Because that was a club, that wasn't even a heart. That was our 1-outer. Just because when you have the heart, you're more likely to turn a 4 that's not completing a flush. Obviously, we end up doing it. And also you have the backdoor. Heart draw and stuff like that. Here, King Jack, I think, sometimes gets entered as a 4-bet. I could be wrong, but we're going to make it 24 here. We rolled an 80, so I don't think it's pure folding. And here, I'm going to size down here because he's shorter. 6.8 seems good. Maybe something else is better. And versus the calls here, I think on this forward, we can just bet 12.5. I think he has all of his non-pair hands have a tough time defending versus it. And he has to continue a lot. I think he's just naturally going to have to overfold. Mixing the 2 sizings, but I think this hand is okay candidate to bet at this size. Basically 25%. We could have gone for 10 bigs, 20%. Now on a 79, I think I'm just going to go with this hand, to be honest. I think jacks is the good because he might sometimes flat jacks. The king is pretty indifferent. I don't mind leading here actually, multi-way. So I'll lead this hand. Here I think I'm going to bet very small again, like 20 bigs. Should probably go smaller. And then I'm going to shove river no matter what, even if he never folds. Here on a 97 we will 3-bet this hand. Normally I go to 10, but he went 3x, not 2x, so I'd go 12. Maybe I go 11, it's better. The long tank is kind of weird. He shoves, we're going to fold our hand. Probably would call off his king. I think we're gonna bet half pot a bunch here. I think he's supposed to fold a lot. Sucks I have no time bank. I don't know. And here with the queen of clubs, I think we go bigger again. Like a hand like ace queen of clubs. I don't know. Maybe we have to be more passive on this board than I'm playing. Maybe I am overdoing it. We will go half pot. Maybe bigger bet's better. And on a miss club, I think this hand becomes a give up. I don't know. We got to review that king jack hand. We got some interesting hands now to review. This one's just depression. Having the king of spades and the jack of hearts isn't necessarily good, so I could see it being a give up. Because if he has a hand like king queen suited, he's going to call. Here I'm just going to flat versus the recreational. He's going to call and fold turn on the brick. I think you want it 1 diamond in your hand at least. I think this hand might be a pure check. I don't really have the time to think about it. But I think you want 1 diamond in your hand. And you don't want a diamond in your hand when betting flop. But you probably bet flop with range, so. I don't know how often we get bluffed there. Anyway. I'm probably going to stop we'll play this hand and then I'll stop the video recording. 44 minutes here. I have this hand as well. I'm going to close the tables here, actually. Maybe I'll just finish the orbits. Jack 10. Alright, yeah, we'll finish the orbits. Jack 10 actually does open at a frequency here. I didn't see the number. I just folded it. The people behind me are pretty aggressive, so. I think, in theory, he's supposed to just pure rep his, like, jacks plus kings. So maybe we just want the lower hands, lower cards, but I don't know how often we have them. Here he's supposed to just not have an 8 very often, so I think we can just bet big. Yeah, I'm going to bet big. I think he's... Oh, he's in the big blind. I thought he was in the small blind. I still don't mind it. I think 1/3 of the range also is probably fine. Probably better, to be honest. I just saw the recreational tag and decided to size up. I forgot to close this table, so we'll just go win this one. It's a big blind. I don't think Queen 7 is suited ever becomes a 3-bet bluff. I think Queen 6 is the hand that starts becoming it versus button and cut off. But mainly versus button. Alright, I'll play this hand and end the video. Here I think he's supposed to play a lot of orbit or check, and he's supposed to check a lot of ace-x. And I think our hand just performs well as a check down type hand. I think we're going to have to call sometimes. I think we block 0 bluffs, so I actually don't mind calling this as a candidate. We obviously don't block any good hands, but I think calling this hand once and folding rivers is good. This might be overcalling. Now I think we can't fold. Depending on his sizing. If he bets a size that only straights bet, he just played this hand like an absolute moron. I don't know what he's... He almost got value. Like, what a weirdo. I guess we can finish the ace-10 hand. We'll end the video once we get a hand that I'll never play. Here on a 77, this hand does 3-bet. So we'll make it probably 9 versus short stack. Normally I would make it 12, so, but he has half the chips. Solid. Alright. Thanks anyone for watching if they watched the end.